Welcome back to Ordinal Revolution. My name is Shizzy, and on this channel, we cover the entire Ordinal ecosystem. What's up, guys? We have an amazing live for you. We call this the Ordinal Hour. We might go past an hour. It's just something that we like to say it, but it's gonna be fun. It's exciting. We already, we did a live with Metaverse. We did a live with Nikib, and now we got I.M.S.O Chris. Man, this is gonna be good. He's going to break down some TA for us. We're really going to get into some technical analysis, something that I'm not very good at. So it's going to be fun. I'm going to be learning in real time with Chris. So it's going to be really fun. Obviously, we'll get into some Bitmap Valley stuff. We'll get into his opinion on a lot of things. It's going to be a really, really fun one. So without further ado, let me bring in my partner, as always, Mr. Iagobi. What's up, buddy?
What up? What up? Happy Friday, brother.
Happy Friday, man. Long week, fun week, exciting week, insane. Now it's a little depressing with some of my shit coins dropping, but it's been fun.
Yeah. Well, we all knew that there was going to be a pullback, right?
Yeah,
and
sure.
then Bitcoin actually took off a bit again, right? I think it got to did it get to 38 yesterday or early this morning?
It got to 38 and then I think fell all the way back down to about
36,
right? Yeah,
36.2 or something like that. Yeah. So, I don't know if people kind of just sold out. Obviously the smart move sometimes is to sell out of your shit coins and then put it into BTC. And if BTC starts rising up, that's a great feeling. You're going to let it go until it chills, right? And then you can roll some of your profits back in.
Yeah, man. So today for our live today, we have I.M.S.O Chris. This is Chris's third appearance. So Chris again ties the record for our show. we had Jay Lee did 3, Eric did 3 BRC coins, and now I.M.S.O Chris. We have his third appearance on our show. We have the record is now tied 3-way. Chris is definitely one of my favorite guests, and it's going to be amazing. So let's bring him in, right?
Bring him in.
The man, the myth, the legend, I.M.S.O Chris. What's up, man? Bring the energy, man. Bring the energy.
Yeah, come on. Hey, remember? You called me out. Bring that energy.
Dude, this is a fucking different time of day, right?
Yeah.
Nah, dude, I can understand though. It gets a little rough. I'm gonna go ahead and set up some screen sharing. But I have seen you guys post quite a bit about your track gains, right? And you guys were really adamant about rats and sats and all that stuff. Obviously it's degen behavior, but at the end of the day, it's if you're not emotionally invested with it and you're doing it with purpose, it's a fantastic way to make some gains, as you guys have clearly experienced, I guess over the last week, right? But the market itself has been fairly interesting, and I would say, the other day in Tommy Two Club's room that he does every morning, it was right when it was the morning after Binance announced, and I told him that in Sam Sage, which also does those Ordinal support desks, I think it is.
Yeah.
I was in their room 13 minutes after the post went live, and I told them at 11:60, I was shorting Ordi, and it looked like maybe 940 or 960 might be support, and that seems really hard to predict, except for the market makers that are basically in the Ordi. I don't know why they exist there, but obviously an asset like that with some of these others that we'll talk about when they get listed on different exchanges, they'll usually have market makers that actually produce most of the trading volume so that there's liquidity for people who want to become new holders or participants, right? And this is also how leverage exchanges can allow some of these assets to be traded, because you're how could you leverage trade Ordi? Well, there's enough volume and enough market makers, you can, get enough retail traders involved. And so I think it's an interesting thing to kind of talk to people about, because if we do see adoption of some of these sats and track, maybe even tap or OXBT or one of these into anything similar to Ordi, well, can we predict the price movements, and can we predict opportunities? The answer is mostly yes, because market makers pretty much have to trade with bots. And so today, that's one thing we'll talk about is when there's not a lot of history on an asset, how could I feel comfortable shorting around 1158 on Ordi and put a stop loss, or I'm sorry, a take profit at $9.80, because my expectation was that it would land somewhere between 940 and 960 before it was at. So the whole statement was, and then tomorrow it'll be added to Binance and market makers will take over from there. Now, I did not think it was going straight to $21. So let's no one assumed that I wrote it from 980 to 21 because I did not. But I wrote it from 980 to above, like $13 or $14. But here's the thing.
Solid though, still.
Aren't you interested in what price it hit before it got added to Binance and the market makers took over? You can go look at the chart as well. $9.66.
Oh wow.
Wow. So you hit right where your target was.
And I front ran it a little bit because I was using the FEMEX exchange, which has a little less liquidity. So instead of putting an order around 960, which wouldn't have gotten hit, I put an order around 980.
Gotcha.
And it did. That is such a small difference. But when we look at the order chart, I will try to go back a couple days and show everyone how I was so sure about that and how current price action is very difficult to play. So it's about finding opportunities, and we may be able to identify some of these opportunities in the other Brc20s that could potentially get listed on some of these bigger exchanges, right? It doesn't mean you've missed your opportunity on Ordi. It's just a very dangerous play right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we'll stick with that.
Yeah. So are you using leverage? And if you are, what are you being conservative? Are you being middle? Are you being degen with it?
No, so when I use leverage, I'm pretty degen with it, but it's because I use cross margin, not isolated margin. So if I go 50x, it doesn't lock like $200 with 50x to, and then if it goes down 2%, I get liquidated. That's not what happens. I lock up 50x because I can take a position for a couple $100 that's 1,000 ordi or 1,500 ordi as an example, right? I can take that for a few $100, but because I have cross margin, I can control how much price action till I get liquidated. So I use 50x to make my entry cheaper, but on cross, your entire balance is your margin. So let's do some simple math. If I have $1,000 on the account and I long 100 ordi, it costs me like $30 to long 100 ordi because I'm at 50x leverage, right? And ordi would have to fall $10. That's 100 times 10, right? To liquidate me of $1,000. So when I do this, I can take multiple positions in multiple currencies, or I can, like today, I made a few scalps, nothing impressive, enough to make me happy. Shorting Sol at certain points and longing XRP, and then taking scalps on them. So like multiple times above 57 and change, like even once at 57.77, I shorted Sol today, taking profits when it goes below 57 and then seeing it bounce back up, find a new 57.50, set a tight stop for 57.70, and just kind of work my way into it until now, where I'm not comfortable shorting or longing it right at its current price. Now, if it comes up a little bit and we see weakness or dominance growing, which we'll talk about all of this during the thing, of course, I may be looking for another short. Or if this whole market pulls back and Bitcoin bounces, but dominance drops, which again, we'll talk about in a minute, then I'll be looking to long a couple of these alts, including Ordi, right? Solana, and I don't even like XRP. I'm like, don't believe in the technology or anything, but there's a really interesting thing with XRP that people should know. It's very similar to Doge, but way more pathetic, and kind of like ADA, but much stronger. So what happens is there's this XRP army of people that truly believe in XRP, and they're easily excitable. So what you can do is get them incredibly bullish, and then you can scare the shit out of them, and then you can stretch them and liquidate them, and then it can all just go back to where it was, and you can just erase the last month of price action. So it's like, it's this terrible group of people that have unfortunately been taken advantage of by like the foundation and all these whales and all these VCs that have been invested since 2000 fuck, dude, 15 on Ripple. So those guys are 16 maybe, but like those guys have basically created this market where when Ripple is underperforming and it's not under litigation of the SEC, it's one of the assets that whenever it starts to rise, a lot of people that don't really know about shorting or trading tend to come into it. And when it goes up, like it recently did to 73 cents, and then comes back down to where it is right now, 65 cents, well, that's like a 10 or 15% move. There are people who bought at 73 that believe in dollar cost averaging because that's what they've been taught, that Ripple's the future. And so like the whole rhetoric around Ripple makes it this asset where when people become bullish on it, it's really, you can't ignore it. And it's like the most satisfying short. When you short Ripple and it works out, nothing literally feels better than shorting Ripple and it working out. So that, those are like, I don't want people to make a mistake here. When we talk about some of these assets, we're not necessarily giving them credit or validating them in any way. We're just talking social sentiment, we're talking volume, we're talking market maker, strategy, bot prediction, and the only one of these that is a very reliable conversation is Bitcoin.
It always comes back to that.
Right. Once we stop talking about Bitcoin, remember everything past that is mostly speculative, but obtainable opportunities will be galore. So we can move on.
I have a question about your cross margin strategy. So is that something that your platform, is that an actual like one type of trade strategy to where you can pick multiple things, or are you talking about you're basically splitting your $1,000 across manually?
So cross is just a type of margin. There's two types of margin. One is called isolated, where you say I want to do 50x on $200, which becomes $10,000, and it says, okay, that's this many tokens. So you lock up your $200, you get $10,000 worth of said currency, and now you have a 2% because 50 divided by 100 is 2% of price action to get liquidated. So if the price moves against you 2%, then your $200 is gone. Okay. If you have $1,000 in your account, it locks 200, you still have 800. With cross margin, you lock 200 and it has to move whatever 20% or 10%, 5 times 2, 10%, because you're basically at a 10x leverage at that point. But here's the thing. You don't have to leave a trade open. The reason I like cross margin is because I can close trades in sections or batches. I can also open multiple trades against each other. And in some instances, you can open a long and a short simultaneously. And then at ranges, you can close one. And then when it bounces, close the other, or vice versa. So you're never at risk until you're ready to make a decision. And the only reason you would ever do that is if funding rates were crazy, you'd be getting paid funding rates on one of your accounts. And, you basically could have two trades open permanently for free. And then when one of them works out really good and you're sure that it's done dumping, you close that one and every dollar it bounces is profit. If it goes above where that you started, now you're double profit. So it's like, but those are advanced strategies,
a lot more flexibility is what it sounds like.
Yeah, but cross margin is just a safer way to play. Because like, you ever seen a wick hit like 2 cents above your target? And you're like, come on, really? Like my shit was at 65.32 and it hit 65.30 and it closed my position and now it's at 69.46. What the fuck? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how do you stop that from happening? Well, but still use, small dollar amounts to take high, opportunity plays, which is gambling. It's called gambling. So how do you gamble with like more with more probability, right? Because similar to like a roulette table or a baccarat game, it's you're mostly fighting a battle of like push and pull against entities much more powerful than you. So it's like, which direction does the levee break? And often this is why the market goes against sentiment, because you have liquidity on the side of sentiment. So might as well sell while you have lots of buyers. You can buy later when you have lots of sellers, type of thing. So this is this is one of those situations where, like, inside of this market, I I feel like getting locked into a position when I'm gambling puts me at higher risk than being able to control my risk on my own. So like, if you learn about risk management, then you can still utilize $1,000 to take a position of like 2,500, soul or something.
Yeah.
Probably, well, let me think. Like, it'd be like, 1,500 soul or 2,000 soul, but you could really short or long 2,000 soul with $1,000. But you have to think, if you're at 100x leverage, you only have 1% of price action to be liquidated on your balance. So then you have to start thinking, okay, realistically, where exactly do I want to enter this position, and how tight do I want my stop to be? If I need a little bit of leeway, then I can like take a smaller position, but still lock up a low balance, because the cross margin allows me to use my entire balance. So I'm not committed. So what I can do is like scale into a position. For instance, if I want to hold 100,000 XRP long, I could do 25,000 at this price. If it drops a little bit more, I could add another 25,000. If it goes up higher, I could add 25,000. And none of those orders are locked. They're flexible because they're not being played off like a set amount of money. They're being played against an account margin. So it's just like, it's really simple. It's just that in a lot of these and it's different now. But when crypto exchanges first started doing leverage and all these non KYC places started popping up and shit, basically what you would see is almost all of them were only isolated. So they were only full gambling. Then as more started to open up and have to like offer new features and new options for, to bring in new users, some of them started using cross margin. So it's a quick Google search, isolated margin versus cross margin. People can read about it. And then basically, after me going through all of this right here, reading the definitions, put it all together, anytime you're on a leverage exchange where it shows your like 100x or your 50x, next to it, it probably has another drop down box that says isolated. If you click that, there'll be another option, cross. Click cross, and now you're using cross.
Gotcha. All right. So before we get into like the charts and stuff, we all know you as the Bitmap Valley. How long have you been doing TA? How long have you been trading? And what's all? Just give us a quick background in that real quick.
My whole community was built off of TA and trading. In late 2020, I was the guy who was like, dude, we closed a monthly above 13.8. This is the year we break 20K. I've been trading for years before that, but I hadn't become like good enough to be independent until like 2019. But I had a lot, you guys know my story about all my great losses and things like that, and all the fucking mistakes I made going into 2017. So in 2017, I vowed to myself to become a market analyst, and that, even if I couldn't do it, because they're like only 5 or 10% of people can do that, with success. And I thought, well, it can't really be worse than not having shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I mean, okay, you're a pretty smart guy. Anything you've ever set your mind to, you've been able to get through. So if you can't become a person who understands the market and has successful trades and takes advantage of volatility, blah, 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 then you're never going to make it anyway in crypto. So it's like, it's okay. It's like, you either go fuck yourself now or you go fuck yourself later. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, well, I've already fucked myself pretty hard, so I might as well just full on do it. Where a lot of people were like, how do I get a secondary income, and how do I dollar cost average in? I was like, how the fuck do I learn this market and learn what about leverage and all this shit? I didn't know what any of that shit was. The only thing that I had experience was with mining and market volatility, and I had been in crypto before and made mistakes, so I understood how high something can go, how low something could go. through 2017, I kind of got the gist of it, but it was very small amounts of money. I was learning. Through 2018, I started to get more confident, had some good trades, some bad trades, fairly even year. But by 2019, I had accepted what shorting was, and I had understood, I basically kind of learned in a bear market, not kind of, 100% learned how to trade effectively using leverage in a bear market. So then, needless to say, I had no fear in March of 2020. I took incredible longs that played out over a longer period of time and gave me opportunity in 2021 to do a lot of cool shit. And a lot of that wound up being invested into the I.M.S.O project. And then with, because all of our mints have been pretty small and we've never raised a lot of money on a single mint. So it's one of those things where like we basically raise what we need to build shit. And, depending on how people react, we build other stuff. And we, now we're on Bitmap Valley, but it all ties into the same I.M.S.O ecosystem. So it's like 2 years of building, but that, up until like sometime last year when the community shifted a lot because a lot of the people who were investors or emotional or were trying to listen or actually trade, the up only people, a lot of them disappeared. And when they disappeared, it became mostly the NFT and gaming community, which really aren't a bunch of traders, but there are some there. So essentially what happened was, late 2020, I was like having problems finding other people who were good at trading. And I needed people because it was like I was like the only person I knew. And then like people on TikTok, but half of them were so full of shit. Most of it was all scams, right? And so I finally met this. I knew a dude that I had worked with in the tech industry a long time ago named Josh, and one day I got a notification because I had downloaded Clubhouse, but you needed invites to get there. And one day I got a notification that my friend Josh, because he's in my contacts, had recently got invited to Clubhouse. And I go, oh my God. So I texted him in real life and I said, I know this is going to sound like a really strange request because he's not a crypto guy or no shit. I said, can you please give me your invite to Clubhouse? And he said, yes. And so then, mid to late 2020, I went to Clubhouse. And when I went to Clubhouse, I didn't know anything about it, but I just knew that I'd be able to find maybe some crypto people. But if nothing else, I'd be able to find like stock guys and traders and just kind of hear their technical analysis and see if I could learn some shit. Because as a trader, you're always, you're open to everything. No matter if you're successful or not, you're always open-minded because the more edges you can find, the better your probability to win is, right? And so it was the craziest thing. I had no idea. Now, remember, I had heard that people used it for stuff, and I knew that Elon Musk had been on a Clubhouse space, but I did not know there was like this whole maxi culture and like all this Bitcoin and crypto shit. And what's really wild is when I joined Clubhouse, I thought, I trade alts and ETH and stuff like that, but I don't want people to misconstrue me for like some novice guy like these TikTokers. But I also, if I go into stock rooms or I meet traders, I don't want them to misinterpret what I'm here for. And if I'm going to find other crypto people, I'm going to have like a name that anyone who interacts with me just by my name alone, they'll already know what I'm looking for and where I'm coming from. So Bitcoin is King signed up for Clubhouse. Gotcha. And next thing you know, so that post, some people are like, is this motherfucker crazy? The one that says, I am Bitcoin is King, I am Solana Chris, I am I.M.S.O. No, I'm the first person to bring Bitcoin is King to the social crypto space via like Clubhouse and then even on Twitter for a little bit, but wound up branding to I.M.S.O, not because of the Bitcoin is King thing being bad or whatever. It's just that I couldn't stomach to grow another account because I'm not that patient and I don't like all the bullshit people do to grow accounts. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically I had no choice but to convert my personal Twitter account to the I.M.S.O account for marketing and, and then I became Solana Chris and, what the fuck, dude. But like at the end of the day, this is something I've known for a while. I was able to stop working in the end of 2019, early 2020, and just do this as my full-time job. And then obviously with I.M.S.O, there's been lots of ups and downs during the bear market, and I've foot the bill for a lot of stuff. And then, you know, we've had a lot of products and services built for other projects that we've worked with. And of course, the Bitmap Valley thing, you know, the holders mostly paid for that. Obviously, I'll have to pick up the slack on the back end for a lot of it, but like still just the foundation of everything has pretty much been paid for by the holders. So it's like it's great, you know. It's this, but here's the thing. The reason I taught technical analysis to my communities is because I wanted them to know they were participants, not victims. And those who have survived till now, you're the war-ridden soldiers who are ready to participate in your final battle. You are not victims who are waiting for an opportunity or a handout. You're out here to take this now because your time has come. And like all of that shit that you have endured and all of that fear and all of that sickness and all of that shit that you have swallowed for the last 2 years, your opportunity is now, friend, and it will only get more. So understanding these things right now, super important. And I used to do TA every single day live for the community. And then it slowly trickled out, and the more stale the market got, no one was really interested other than the traders. Well, the traders, I can just make posts for the traders. I can just put stuff in Discord channel for the traders. They'll be looking for that shit. They're already educated. They already know what I'm thinking. But now I think it's time to get everybody back on the straight and narrow. Obviously I'm doing this with you, but I will likely start doing it more regularly again inside my community, and sharing a little bit more with Twitter. But see, with Twitter, I'm very careful about putting some of this stuff up there. I don't want people to misconstrue my intents. So I try not to post too much about trading. If I do, it's usually some kind of passive aggressive statement or subliminal thing. So when I say doggy coin, remember Doge was at like 0.062 cents when I said doggy coin question mark or doggy next question mark or whatever when I made that post. Okay, well Doge is at 7.6, so it's like that's like 25-30% on leverage. That's hundreds of percent gains. So it's like you know, things like that. When, you know, if I'm cryptic about something, I'm usually calling some form of price action. But I don't like to be like a financial advisor because I am not a financial advisor. So with Twitter, I take it very careful. But on the live streams, it's whatever. The context is viewable. We can, you know the context of the conversation when we're live like this. So we have the freedom to do and say more. But if you want to get into a little TA, we can. I keep it as simple as possible for everybody.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, I have a couple different charts that I use. Let me make this one a little bit bigger. But basically, this one's a pretty straightforward one. It's a very easy strategies chart. There's a couple indicators here, and I won't bore anyone too much with them, but I will just tell you what they all do, okay? So this one's called Bollinger Band Width Percentile. It basically gauges volatility. Whenever the Bollinger Band is high on this indicator, you have high volatility, implying that you need to cool down until volatility resets, and that helps you time explosive moves. So you can just use an example. The last time it was getting into single digits in blue, what happened? You tested the bottom side band, and then you exploded volatility to the upside, which is why we use this indicator on the same chart that we have the actual Bollinger Band indicators, which give us a range, okay? And then the midline is actually a point of control, which, if used in combination with the MACD, can give you momentum on a certain time frame. So then this is how it works. If we have a range from the top side band to the bottom side band, that is usually predictable because we have volatility coming down. It's only when volatility is rising that you go past the bands and they expand, okay? And then eventually you top out, and then there's a gradual decrease in price volatility until the bands come back together, and then you break one side and they expand again. Okay, that's literally how this works. So if we know that volatility is getting high and we're toward the top side band, then we're to assume that there's going to be some light consolidation until the midline has come up to the current price. It doesn't matter if we go down to that midline or if the midline slowly drifts up to us. It's irrelevant. We have the MACD here telling us that our trend is positive as long as we're closing 4-hour candles above 36,300, which we are by quite a bit. Okay. So then if we look at our range and we look at our bottom side band is way down at 34.8, but our midline, no shit, at 36,300. So then we're to believe that if Bitcoin pulls back from here, that it would come down to this midline while volatility came down, and you would test the basically the center of the MACD to see if A, is the trend still bullish or bearish. So then this implies on 4-hour time frames starting at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern every single day. That is when the global UTC hits 00 and your new day of price action starts. There are 6 4-hour candles. So as an example, we just closed a 4-hour candle, which was also the daily, 2.5 hours ago. In 1.5 hours from now at 10 p.m., we will close the next 4-hour candle. As long as every 4-hour candle we close is above that target, which is currently 36.3, then momentum stays in our favor and volatility continues to cool off while the trend remains bullish, which also, if we look at our last major red candle, has a low of 35,600. As long as we are above that price on the 4-hour candle closes, we don't have a lower high, we still have a higher low. So now what does this imply? If we don't have a lower low, we have a higher low. This implies that we're consolidating, and we should believe that. We shouldn't try to convince ourselves of anything else because we have 2 different indicators, one that says momentum is still in our favor and one that says volatility needs to cool off. So then we should range in a positive area of price action. Okay, Chris, so then how do I know if I should be buying BRC20s and altcoins with my Bitcoin gains right now, looking for a play while Bitcoin cools off and consolidates? Or how would I know if I should be flipping my alts, which are now in profit, into more Bitcoin before it rockets again? Okay, we go to the Bitcoin dominance chart and we say, okay, Bitcoin dominance, now not in a 4-hour, let's look at the daily. Bitcoin dominance has been coming down pretty sharply for about 2 weeks now, right? We've had a few plays, and if we look at the days that those plays were done, you can see that there's corresponding price action, right? The day that Bitcoin goes to $38,000 is also the day that Bitcoin dominance spiked to 53.5%, where now it's almost 1% lower. So when Bitcoin dominance is going down, and Bitcoin price is consolidating inside of a range or going up, it always means altcoins are outperforming it. Want to see proof? Look at Solana to BTC.
Yeah.
Sol to BTC going up the entire time that Bitcoin dominance was going down. Bitcoin price action has essentially stayed inside of the wick that it created on that high dominance. So if we look at the price action on that high dominance, it was basically 36.4 to 37.9, $1,500 range. We've stayed inside that 1,500 range since also for the last few days. So now we have to start asking ourselves about yesterday's candle low, which is basically what, 36.3? Great. So the low on yesterday's candle, the target for the MACD to stay positive. Now, remember, yesterday's candle. Why is that important? Well, because if we go back to the 4-hour, we can see that yesterday's low, which is essentially 36.3, is the target for momentum on the 4-hour to stay positive. So if we lose momentum on the 4-hour, the chances of getting it back by the time the next daily closes is low. So we know to expect a short. And if we see Bitcoin dominance coming down with Bitcoin price, we know to expect ETH or SOL which it is taking it right now. And then you can look at others. Avalanche Link, Chainlink to BTC, right, has done fairly decent. But Sol has mostly stolen the show here with dominance. So we are to believe that Bitcoin is going to cool off. And if Bitcoin has its dominance, so BTC.D, Bitcoin dominance, starts rising with this consolidation and price action, then your alts are going to drop pretty hard. And we can see that ETH is already selling off. However, Solana is still fairly strong. And look at Ordi. Ordi's done a few very interesting things. So now we move to Ordi and we say, okay, if we're looking at Ordi, we have to look at it a little differently than we look at Bitcoin or maybe even Solana because it's a less liquid asset. So we want to bring it down to we don't really want to look at the daily. I mean, we can get a perspective off the daily, you know, a low of 17.20 and a high of $22, but Jesus Christ, that's a $5 range on it's a 30% range. You know what I'm saying? So in order to actually trade this on leverage or dollar cost average in, dollar cost average out, we need to look at our larger time frame as our 4 hour. So the 4 hour is basically the highest time frame we want to look at Ordi on because it's going to be the one that gives us the largest range of probability. How come? Market makers. Market makers are mostly running Ordi. Now, of course, market makers are running most of other cryptos as well, but I'm talking like it's got to be 95 or 96% of the Ordi volume has to be bullshit market maker wash trading volume. But that's totally okay because people like us want that liquidity to bring in new users, new holders, new buyers, and find opportunity for profit. And also when we short Ordi, it's very volatile because it's very illiquid. So if you've got good timing and you understand market sentiment, you're going to be fine. So if we look at the 4 hour time frame on Ordi, what we can notice is a few areas of interest that are going to basically correlate to participants in the market. And again, we're thinking of market makers when we talk about this. So the first thing we want to do is look at all the candles that are lower than current price action and try to find a general top area that kind of meets the bottom of some of these other candles. And it just so happens we have 4 right here, which 4 4-hour candles is almost a full fucking day worth of price action. And this is the day where you basically went from $13 up to it looks like 1980. Okay, so about 13 to 20, which is just a crazy day. And that was literally the day after Binance or put it in. And just for the story that we told earlier, if you go back in price action and you look at these 2 large candles way back here on November 23rd, and let me make this a little bit bigger here. Sorry, I didn't realize how small it was for you guys. Give me 1 second. We don't really need any of these indicators because they don't really work on Ordi. Ordi's not. It doesn't have the history. I mean, on lower term time frames, it'll work, but on the 4 hour, it's not going to work. So if you look at these 2 big ass candles right here, you have the candle body close right here, which was basically 1087. And then you have the low of this candle, which is 966. Well, if 966 was my original target, which there's literally recorded audio space of me saying that 13 minutes after the Binance thing came out, this thing ripped from $7 and some odd cents all the way up to 11 something. And what I did is got a short at 11.58 and I had a take profit at 980. We talked about all this at the beginning of the stream. But what made me think to do that? Well, if I look back on this trend, which I do need to go to the daily to find the candles a little faster, I can see throughout this price action, we have like this one big ass candle, and we have to go all the way back to when the asset first got on the exchange to basically find the same price action that we're currently in. So if we find an area of interest that the most candles touch, it just so happens it's about right here along, you can't see me pointing, but like right here along this candle, first capitulation into a pump, into capitulation, and then basically wide frame consolidation. Once you break up above that, you have to start looking and go, okay, so then if when it came on the exchange, this was the major liquidity, the major sells, and we know where the price was before that, and we know where the price has gone after that, then you have to ask yourself, what are those areas of interest? Okay, it's literally this price right here is literally $9.60. Okay, so then in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, if there's market makers, then and Binance is about to add this token, then they're probably going to want to shake people out. If they ran it below $10, where would their bots be set to buy? And so I set my take profit and my order at 980, even knowing that 960 is the area here on the chart. Okay, look at this fucking candle over here, right? If you look at these candles, it's like 7:16 to 14:30. Break that into 4-hour candles, and before you made the high and basically started the run, you hit $9.66. That is not retail traders knowing to buy at 966. That is not what the fuck is happening there. What is happening there is the market makers that started this shit way back here are continuing it. Why would they continue it now? Because they knew tomorrow they were going to have Binance liquidity.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they get that information, I'm sure. But
well, no, I knew it because 13 minutes ago there was a tweet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's what I knew it.
So
I knew that Binance was adding it. So then I have to think to myself, okay, if I'm a market maker in Ordi and my bots are going to manipulate the fuck out of this upcoming volume and liquidity, where's my fill price?
Yeah.
And
well, like the deal with like Ordi getting listed on Binance, and then like a lot of these platforms allowing perps with it, like, and then you saw that with Sats the next day, like KuCoin picked it up, and they announced that they you have perpetuals coming. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, there's going to be definitely a lot of market manipulation because these are new tokens. But like you said, if you play it right, then you can do really well. But my question to you, like, you have this trader experience, and I don't have a ton. I did, dive into trading for, I would say probably like 4 or 6 months around that time frame. It's very hard, number one. But I feel like from what, people tell me that are experienced, there's two time periods of when trading can actually be easy. It's like in the beginning of a bull market and the beginning of a bear market. How far do you think we are to where like trading gets easier because you can just long and then that shit takes off?
Well, those people lied to you, because what actually happens is the beginning of the bull is very difficult to trade because you're actually preconditioned and programmed for bearish sentiment.
Yeah.
And the beginning of the bear is hard to trade because you've been programmed for bullish sentiment. For 2 years, everything you've bought's gone up. Now, all of a sudden, everything you buy goes down. It takes you like 6 months to figure that out if you don't have any education. Now you've lost most of what you gained, not only from bad trades, but from price depreciation. This is how people like functioned, went from making $1 million in NFTs to be back, I was going to make a joke and say his mom's house. He ain't really at his mom's house, but like it's a joke, right? And so it's like, but he might, could have been or whatever. So it's like, all these people, they catch luck because once it's basically set it and forget it. But you have to start believing in yourself now. So how do you get more? The better question is, how do you get in a mental framework to accept a bull market when you've been trained to only see bearish signs and signals? You start being realistic with yourself about previous price action and current distance from, your last opportunity of like major importance. Okay, let me explain with Bitcoin. So if we pull up the weekly, and this will transcend everything. This will go for every other thing that you're looking at. I really hate to do this, but I kind of need to turn these off probably. Let's see if I can hide them. All right, cool. All right, so with nothing on here other than obviously momentum, I'm looking at the weekly chart on Bitcoin. I need to look. I mean, dude, you do not have to be an educated trader to see the average. Let's just go all the way back to this big candle right here. What is that? That's March of 2023. It's pretty easy. You could even say this candle because of where the top of it's at, which is January of 23. That's almost the whole fucking year. You can look at the whole fucking year on this chart right now, and you can see an average price of interest once you broke back above the midline on the weekly, huh? The orange line way down here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then if I put a line basically where that midline started, it is way the fuck down at 19. Oh shit, it's trying to turn on my drawings. All right, I guess I need to get rid of them. I look at the very top of that candle on the weekly, the close, because if you look at the second candle, the open held and was green at the topside band, and then you've basically hugged that topside band the entire way through. And look at volatility. If we look at this higher indicator here, it turned blue back when we retested the bottom side band. Now, in the last 4 weeks, we've crossed above the midline with expanding volatility. Hey, fellas, the last time volatility started expanding, it was October of 2022, and it stopped expanding in April of 23. 5 or 6 months of price action before volatility stopped expanding. On the second consolidation, you basically hit, well, you consolidated at 15,600, and then you pretty much ran straight to 28 and some change. Then you consolidated above essentially 20. What is the low here? Jesus Christ. Wow. You never went back below 24.5? Okay, so we never went back below 24.5, and now we've grabbed the topside band. We're hugging it with positive momentum and fresh volatility. Hey, fellas, this implies expansion to the upside on the weekly. So that implies monthly price action to continue forward. We've had 2 green months, and we're approaching the same area of interest with the monthly for expansion. But here's the thing. You can't depend on BBWP and the monthly because... the month is, dude, it's been fucking red since February of 21. Bitcoin's been volatile for 2 years. You know what I'm saying? So you can't, that's unpredictable. That are not unreliable. Sorry, it's unreliable. But if we look at the MACD on the monthly, which is very reliable, you're about to cross that midline because you're going to cross another monthly above. As long as you're closing monthlies above 20,500, you're actually still positive on the macro, essentially. And the monthly momentum keeps rising in your favor above $28,000. So, like, everyone knows 28,000 is a massive area of interest. And if we actually look at the midline here on the monthly, it's 26,100. Okay. Chris, why the fuck are you saying all these numbers? Because 24,500 was likely your last higher low. Even if 28,500 does come, which I'm not saying it does, but if it does, or 32.8 or 31.5 or any of these numbers that you could be expecting on a daily or a weekly basis, if any of those numbers come, ask yourself how far away those numbers are. Again, remember, I said this will work for everything that is liquid that you believe in that has a definite future. So, like, maybe not some of these random shitters that are out here right now, but all your majors, your Bitcoins, your ETHs, your Sols, your Doges, and things like that. You ask yourself, you say, okay, from here, 2x, almost 2x, is a new all-time high, which inevitably, one day, even if it's not in the next 6 to 9 months, which a lot of people think it will be, one day Bitcoin inevitably has to go above 69,000. Like, it will happen at some point, you would think, right? Obviously, I'm not a fortune teller. I don't know for sure. I am not a financial advisor. But you would just have to assume that even if it was a fake out, one day Bitcoin would pass 69,000. Okay, well, if Bitcoin stays above, even if it went all the way to 24,500 from here, is that 50%? No. What is 50% from here? Okay, it's about 18,500. Okay, so if we find 18,500 on the chart, let's find 18,500 on the chart right here. You are a cocksucker. Here. How about that? We'll just take it off completely. Let's find 18.5 on the chart. All right.
Guys,
and now,
he's giving you a prediction on Bitcoin, so listen up.
Now, let's just go ahead and, I mean, sure, we're on the weekly, but it's going to be not as fun to look at. Let's go on the daily, and let's just start running this back to the last time we were below 18.5, right here. How long were we below 18.5?
Yeah, that was before the summer.
Right.
No, yeah.
November 22, yeah. Capitulation.
Year, yeah.
So November 22 to January 12th is the amount of time we spent below there. Okay. If we go back further than that, so remember, we broke below it in November of 22. I know how long it was, but I want to show you guys. I already know the answer to this question. Let's just keep going back to the last time it was closing dailies below 18. Okay. Okay. Right here, it did 3 days. That was December 9th, 2020. So you have this big run up, you have this consolidation, you break out hard as fuck to 69K. Then for, I don't know, December 9th, 2020 till November 9th, 2022, dog, 1 year and 11 months you stayed above 18,500. Okay. Then you finally break below 18,500. You're below there from November 22 till January, so less than 3 months. Okay. Now you've yet to revisit it. So you have to start asking yourself a real hard question. What are the probabilities Bitcoin goes down 50% before it goes up 100%?
Up only. Up only.
The chances of it going up are pretty fucking high. If you're looking at, does Bitcoin likely make a macro higher high, which would literally be like anywhere above $65,000, or technically 69, but I'll take 64. I'll take 54, but you know, I'll take 58 for sure, but let's not even get it. That's real Fibonacci shit. But like, is it more likely that from here, at the end of 23, with all the news and the ordinals and the this and the that, Sam going to jail, like really ask yourself, are the chances of the macro cycle, the whole fucking thing, the whole 4-year period, halvening's coming up, do you really think you go below 18,500 before you go back above 69K? Because I do not. And if I don't believe that, then I have to start asking myself, will we go below 24.5? And if not, okay, that's, 12,000 from here, which isn't comfortable. That's 33% of price action. Okay, so what would 66% to the upside be? Somewhere in the mid 40s, early 50s. Okay. That could be around the corner from we're at 37K, dude.
Yeah.
44K could be around the corner. Before the capitulation that everybody's expecting, I would be more concerned at 42K than I am at 36K. Because I know right now on the daily that it is going to take a Mack fucking truck to get below where? 36.3. And I know that below 36.3, I have support going all the way back to 2021 at around 24.5, 23.8 range. All right. And then I know that in a capitulation event, I have the most support on the largest term time frame with the most volume that has ever been involved with Bitcoin over time, with an average around 18,500. So now if I start to look at bot positions and this and that and all the news and the sentiment and the new liquidity entering, and I look at the difference between any of these numbers, dude. I mean, our most recent one's 28K. So if we look at the difference between 28K and 18K, you get 23K, and 23.5 is, or 23.8 is this mega interesting area. How do we know that's for sure? Because recently we did go to 32K, went all the way back to 24.5, and we are now at 37K. Yep. So you tell me why the fuck we went to 32K, went and tested a macro area of interest, front ran and stayed above 23.8, put in a higher low, a real higher low at 24.5 on a macro time frame that extends weeks into months over 2 years. You're fucking kidding me, right? So at the end of the day, it's clear to me that the bottom has been put in for Bitcoin. And the longer you anticipate, but do you go all in 100% of your net worth at 37,100?
Yes, no. Yes, everything. No. Up only.
No, but you can dollar cost average your position in both directions. So a person who buys at 37,000 is underwater if it goes down to 35K, right? Or anything below where you bought in. Okay, and you can 10% at 37. If it goes down to 36, 10%. If it goes up to 38, 10%. And you can scale in and out because you already know that as long as you're basically inside this 32.5 to 37.5 range, you're basically getting free opportunity. If at any point your dollar cost averaging below into, it goes below 32.5, well, these macro areas, and you can just keep going in until you finally break back above and you get your confirmations and everything goes fucking wild, right? And then vice versa, if you do happen to be buying in and you see it break above this 37.5, well, lucky for you, you got some in the 36 range. Maybe you got earlier than that. A lot of people have bought before 30K. So it's like, if you bought it before 30K, adding some at 37 isn't really the safest thing. But what would it do for your average cost? And if you're leverage trading it, what areas of interest would you be interested on the shorter term time frames? And this is where we come down to like the 4 hours and we say, okay, we know that on the 4 hour, anything above 35.6 is solid. And as long as momentum's in our favor, then we have targets for support at 36.3. And we can even cheat and we can use these like probability indicators, which this one's made by a gentleman named Caretaker. And it used to be a fairly expensive thing. I don't even know how often it's used anymore. It was like $500 when it was originally created. What it does is it basically uses some pretty standard indicator metrics to create a range of interest to the upside and the downside. And then you pair this with RSI to find out if you're creating divergences. And you can see all these bullish divergences that have been recently created, including off the low of this candle. So then if you have a 70% chance to stay between the first standard deviations and you're already above the midline with bullish divergence built up on the RSI, the chances are you hit the top side, I guess you could call it deviation, and that's 38,158. Okay, well, we did that back here, but it was a second standard deviation, which is a much lower probability. You only get that like 8 or 10% of the time, where the first standard deviation is like literally a 70% probability. Okay, so then if we look at just bots, just algorithm trading, and we say, what are the areas of interest for the bots who are trading the standard deviations, which are the most predictable ranges, basically over a larger term time frame? And of course, it depends on what you're selecting. But for me, it's the 4 hour that usually does pretty well. 4 hour ranges usually play into daily targets. So check this out. Right now, the bots, as of literally 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, they have an interest at 36.4 and 35.650. Get the fuck out of here. And they have sell ranges at 38.2 and 38.9, right below 40,000, right? Because that's where you have the most significant pushback in the shortest term time frame. And then on the bottom side, it's the most significant volume on the shortest term time frame to the upside. And we happen to be smack dab in the middle of that range right now. That is not a coincidence. Bots are figuring out sentiment and which direction to go, which is why watching Bitcoin dominance is very important, because if Bitcoin dominance starts to rise, this implies so will price action and you'll hit some of these targets. Now, Chris, does that mean we have to short at these prices? Not necessarily, because this is a 4 hour time frame. If you go above 38.2 on the 4 hour, then you're looking for 39K. And if you go above 39K and you pull back and close the 4 hour above that, you're going for consolidation and continuation to the upside, which wouldn't be unreasonable, because if we go back to this chart over here and we look at the this one right here, and we look at the weekly over here, it's like, hey, you've got, dude, literally rising volatility, so expanding price action off the top side band with positive momentum on the weekly, as long as you're above $23,200, okay? And you're squaring up. If you were to square up this entire trend on the weekly, it's $47,000, fellas.
Goodness gracious!
So,
but Chris, I
so
got we gotta wrap up the TA because it's been an hour of the whole ordinal hour
Oh
has
my
been TA.
god, dude.
But it's been educational. Finish up your last part that you're about to go into because people want to hear about Bitmap Valley.
So if you want to know how to assess where the good sell range is and where the good short is, you look at what that square up target would be, and you look
Yeah.
at the next area of interest below it, which is probably where you would front run. The chances of the trend going directly to square, that's not symmetrical. The chances are you'd put in a lower high. Where's that at? 43K. So now we know that from here, breaking above 38.2 and consolidating has a target around 43 to 44,000, and anything above there squares up the trend over several years. That is very unlikely right now because you need to put in the higher high, come down and put in the higher low, and then break back up. And again, that higher low would be right around where we are now, 37K. So then you start asking yourself, okay, if we break higher above 42, 43, 44, when we come back down, will we for sure come below 37K? You never know. You never know if 37K, if this is the last chance, which it's probably not, but you never know if it's the last chance. Same with 35, 33, 31. And you have to remember that. But you do know two things for sure. If you break above a specific price over several years, it incites a bullish market and you're approaching that price now. And if you do come back down, you have two major areas of interest over a 2-year period. And if you cut everything in half, your risk to reward is dead even at this price. So dollar cost averaging in, dollar cost averaging out, both of those strategies will make you more productive for the upcoming cycle. And you can basically use that same thought process and the same kind of time frames with every other asset in this entire market. It wasn't supposed to be a lesson, sorry, but I literally just taught everyone how to take. So you could do it with sortie, you could do it with sats, you could do it with track. You know, track has 20 days of price action, but if we take it down to the 15 and we know that it's on an exchange which definitely has market makers, then we can see very fucking clearly that the bottom side of the 15-minute time frame is $1.02, and you can see that the high is 131. So if you know that that's your short range, you can look at volatility because it can assess something on such a short time frame. There's been enough candles. But if we go to the hourly, it starts to look a little bit different because it's just up, 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 up. So if that's the case, then where's the majority of track been purchased on this exchange? Around 78 cents. So right now, to me, it looks like you have a range of between about 80 to 120, which is pretty crazy, right? That's like a 30% range. But as you consolidate inside of that range, you have to start asking yourself, will you ever get track back at 60 cents? Or will you ever get track back at 40 cents? You can't say yes. So buying it at 120 and buying it at $1 and buying it at 80 cents and 60 cents and 40 cents, if they come, that is literally all you can do.
Yeah.
You can't, you know what I'm saying? So I swear to God, anyone who got bored to death, don't fail yourself. Go back and watch this later and literally use that lesson and these simple, stupid little lines. No one even asked what's the blue and the red thing. Those are also buy and sell signals so they can help us confirm price action. And then you just assume you're going to stay inside of the range. And those are from a machine learning algorithm, which everyone has access to, the ML-KNN indicator. So Bollinger Bands, machine learning, volatility, momentum, and anyone can assess any token in the market.
That's awesome. I mean, I actually really like that we can see like tokens, BRC20 tokens, you know, on TradingView and be able to break them down now more.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And obviously you have a ton of experience. I mean, just listening to you for that last hour. I mean,
Don't say it so begrudgingly, asshole.
No, I'm just saying. I'm saying I learned a lot. But when I feel like I know someone's experiences, whenever they're tying multiple indicators together, and like you have your own strategy to do that. So I think that's really I mean, it just shows your experience there. But
yeah, for the 10 people who actually are interested in this, on my YouTube, there's a whole video under like the free technical analysis thing. There's a whole video using this strategy that anyone can go watch and just back test it and try it out.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But we did get a lot of people talking about Bitmap Valley.
Yeah.
No, so Bitmap Valley. In terms of Bitmap Valley, where are we at in terms of the next updates? I know a lot of people were going through the claims.
Most of those have gone through. I'm really proud of people for finally getting around to doing it. And then we have 2 custom experiences we're working on that will allow us to offer themes and some new concepts for you guys to understand, because like maybe everybody doesn't want a city, but they still want it to generate based on their bitmap data, so perhaps there's other themes they could be interested, and all that's being tied in after instance drops, which instances are live for us in the dev environment, but there's like a couple little bugs that have been recently worked out. But there was one today that was weird, where when you go in and you save the instance to the parcel, the camera like locked, and I had to hit escape and then escape again for the camera to be free. Like, okay, well, no one's gonna know that, so it's little stupid little shit like that is being ironed out. But we've been able to successfully basically send and receive Brc20s, so that's gonna require that's going to require some marketing though. So we'll implement. So basically what we're going to do is give you instances and a few free doors so you can go play around with that. And then we'll put in the ability for payments to be accepted or requested using Bitcoin and actually Solana, because we can call to a Phantom wallet just like we can call to your Bitcoin wallet. So even though you would not be logged in with a Phantom wallet, a lot of people who have Bitcoin wallets or MetaMask probably have a Phantom wallet or a backpack wallet. So like if you're trying to do a transaction and maybe the mem pool on Bitcoin is super fucked up, whether it's to us or it's to another player, we thought it would be cool if you had an option to use Solana just for payment. Now, obviously that person would have to have a Solana wallet too. It's all in the UI for whoever, but it's pretty straightforward. You literally sign your transaction in your Phantom wallet just for 1 second to make the payment. And then we see that payment receive on the custodial wallet or the escrow wallet. And then we just give you the thing in the game, or the person, whoever's giving you the thing in the game, you get the thing in the game. And we thought that was pretty cool because it kind of helps us leverage the payment rail of Solana for some people who don't understand Bitcoin or maybe don't have the patience. Like while we're orange pilling them, we still need it to be like kind of user friendly when it comes to certain things. So default payment option will be Bitcoin, but you will be able to also pay with a Solana wallet if there's a Solana wallet on the device that you're using the Bitmap Valley with. And I just really want to stress to people, you are always logged into your Bitcoin wallet. Your Bitmap is always the thing. It is at no point do you log into your Phantom wallet. Solana is not connected to the bitmap districts or any of that shit in any way other than to allow a person to use it as a transaction rail, which then gets approved on the back end and then the item gets released. It's just fucking perfect. And then we can roll out, gonna definitely look at sats and OXBT, great communities.
Yeah.
And rats. Don't forget about the rats.
I don't know about no rats.
Don't know the rats, don't know the community, don't know the devs, but anything can happen.
That's the best part.
Same with track and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I'm interested in tap coming out. Obviously we have a tap token, the evolve token, that'll be airdropped to people who have these spaces. The Ordinals artwork is still getting, there's some changes being made, and I'm trying to get some of it animated, but then we also have to make the avatars for it, which isn't that crazy. We're just focusing more on instances and payment rails for Bitmap Valley, because these custom spaces, one of them, I'm not going to say too much, and we are working with one of the people who are part of the OCM DAO, and we are making something cool that hopefully the OCM guys like, and coming up with an idea for some potential. We're gonna test parcels. I'll just say that much. Anyway, and And then we also have a custom experience that we're helping work with blockheads on, and I don't know how much they want me to say, but it's really good. Crafted and Legend are awesome guys. So we're working on custom experiences for them. Both of them are completely different. One of them is, well, you guys will learn more soon. But like one of them is one type of experience that has one kind of focus group and has one like future outlook. The other one is more social, more private, more specific, more gated, and it's a really awesome way to show people what's like kind of possible inside of this environment. And that also lets us open up some different tooling, and there's just so much shit cooking. But I can't allow any of this to happen until installing a parcel or installing an instance on a parcel has 0 bugs. Even if the bug was camera locks and you have to hit escape to unlock the camera, that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
Because
Chris, could we do like an event? Could we do an event like in Bitmap Valley to where like Ordinal Revolution hosts a big ass space or something? Like, and
where well, it depends on what you mean by that, because like if you're looking to log in from Twitter, like people actually use like spaces, not necessarily. I mean, you could, it's just like
not
expensive.
logging in from Twitter. I'm talking about like just everybody logging into Bitmap Valley with their PCs or whatever, and then we all congregate in one Bitmap Valley, and Shizzy and I host a space, and there's people in there talking.
Yeah, we could probably have like a huge ass TV also, and you guys could be streaming YouTube, and that would be on the big ass TV. But
shit.
you'd be able to hear people inside the valley. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Why don't we do something like that, like an event?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just coordinate that, and just invite like our community, your community.
Well, because we're more interested in finishing development on your utilities and your monetization rails and the custom experiences for these 2 projects. Like, yeah, we can, we either need time to do something like that, or it cost X amount of dollars to hire for me to put additional devs on that task.
Gotcha.
When I would because I do not want to take anybody off the tasks at hand. Like, look, when instances go live, there is going to be a snowball effect of features and addeds. I mean, you're talking once instances go live, then next will be payment rails and BRC20 rails. And then after that, it's vehicles and it's AI and it's cosmetics and it's you having the ability to monetize things. It's adding, it's inscribing the parcel that the instance is attached to, which automatically becomes token gated so that you can sell that parcel as an inscription to someone else. I mean, dude, it's going to get so wild, but we can't, we literally, okay. So with the other version of the game, like with the current version of the game, it's okay if someone gets stuck in a fucking wall or their computer renders something shitty and they have to refresh. That's okay. It's okay to have like glitches in games. The fucking brand newest games have glitches all day. Diablo has glitches. Hogwarts Legacy has glitches. Everything has glitches. That's not the problem. The problem is an instance marries a parcel. So it has to be perfect. There can't be a glitch. There can't be a bug. There can't be an oversight for this. We have to break it intentionally to fix it again, because when you set that instance on that parcel, it has to be, I mean, the idea is that it's permanent, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Dude.
Could there ever be a point to where, like, when everybody has their own, like, I don't know, like everybody has claimed their own Bitmap Valley, could there ever be like an open source type of framework to where, let's say, like, I'm a video game developer and I want to like create like a Fortnite version of mine? Would that ever be possible, or is it wouldn't, because of the entire framework is one together?
So you could just like have multiple districts connected and scale those into customizable spaces over time, but that's building a game builder. I mean, first we're going to give you a room builder and an avatar builder, right? And like you've got your city builder, and then once you get past there, then yeah, sure, things like that are obviously, it's all possible. Like, it basically the same concept you have for Roblox you can do in this environment. You just have to build those tools over time. So for us, we noticed that Web3 metaverse is, some of it's about fun and games, but most of it is about social interaction and ownership and rights to things. So we're just really focusing on the stuff for you guys.
Yeah.
It's not just going to be like putting, the ballroom, the arcade, or this or that in your thing. You can attach instances that are customizable parcels. So when you walk inside of that parcel, you actually build your own room or instance inside of that thing. So it's like that's where you could just attach instance doors to all of your buildings or X amount of your buildings and then create that inscription as the parcel. And then when you sell that parcel to someone and they come to your district and they enter that doorway, now they get to customize their space, and now their instance is inside of your district, inside of that building on that parcel. Okay. And they can customize that and maybe they can resell that later. And, we were really worried when we were first talking about this, like, how much is an instance door going to cost? Right. We were thinking $8, $10 if you're going to turn that into a parcel and you're going to sell it was the thought. Dude, we got them down to like $3. Like maybe less. So we've got it so affordable. So like think about what I'm suggesting to you. You spent $100 on a Bitmap Valley district, and right now people are getting fucked paying $20, $30 for a bitmap, but you might have paid $2 or $3 originally. Yeah. If you can add instances to parcels and those can be basically sold to people, and it costs you about $3 to do that, and you want it, dude. You don't think you can sell parcels in your district or real estate or token gate those to some collection for $10 or $15? Like $15 is literally a 500% gain for the person. 7 parcels, 8 parcels at $15, you've got your money back. You're no longer invested money. You're just having fun, right? And so we're focused on things like that, like how to get costs down, how to make it intriguing and interesting, how can it be like utilized as utility for a project or a community, and what kind of things would make them feel a sense of ownership and make them feel like it's reliable, and how do we address payment rails, or what if we want to add play to earn, and what if we want to use Brc20s for payment rails and play to earn? We've had to figure that out, dude.
Yeah.
No one's done this at this level until now. They can do a 3D environment all they want. They can copy and paste all the AI code they want. They can fake it till they make it all they want. No one has actually prepped a game experience for bitmaps and Bitcoin that is as robust and expandable as this will become over just a short period of time. And it's because we were thinking like way forward when we were doing it, and the amount of logic that's going on in the back end just for payments, like it's so fucking crazy. And then to be able, like, sure, it's super easy for just imagine how fucking easy is it for me to have given you a whole entire district with all of your buildings and color customization and some 3D assets. Like, that's super easy. Now we're also integrating payment rails, token gating, parceling, and instances. Dude, no, that doesn't. It was easy to generate something on the bitmap, so I don't care who's doing what out there on bitmaps. We generate entire 3D spaces using bitmap data. So doing the rest of the shit that's not impressive. What's impressive is the technology and the logic in the back end and how that expands and grows. A lot of these ideas are going to hit walls because they're not prepped for evolution. Well, I have a 2-year advantage on that part of this. So trust me, the moment instances are live and dude, you have no idea.
I just want to flip the switch and be able to turn it into battle royale mode and then hunt Shizzy down.
Dude, listen, we were just talking about how we could create something where if you were to have a mini Royale basically
Yeah.
experience on one of these maps, how we could generate the battlefield using the bitmap data. I even had him generate me a map in Unreal Engine using the bitmap data a month and a half ago. So like we understand exactly how to expand this out, or how to maybe pull this data into like Unreal Engine and export that FBX, and then basically convert that to a GLB, optimize and lower that poly, and create entire arenas or entire maps for different game types using the bitmap data. But that's not what the people are expecting in the short term, and that's not where people live, right? So what we have to do first is provide the personal stuff, the customized stuff, the stuff for you, the users. Then we can create the experiences that bring in players. And if your spaces host these experiences, then you're going to get the players. Have any of you ever played Roblox? Like, whatever games or environments have the best promotion or are the most fun or the most, so social media exposure, those are the people who are getting paid the most dollars for their Robux transactions. It's the same thing here.
Yeah, that's right. The payment rails is definitely going to be. Look, I think that's awesome that you're doing that, because first of all, like you said, it's never happened before. And once that happens and people start using it, I just like, for me, I want to be able to like do the battle royale thing so bad. I don't know why, but like obviously that's the little kid in me. But being able to buy like ordinals and stuff in there is going to be amazing too, because you're social. So I'm excited for it. How far away are
more
the
than
payment
that. Payment rails are not hard. We need instances live and non-bugged because you have to do it in stairs. We've already, I shared a picture the other day of us paying on Solana and Bitcoin using local hosts. Like it works. And then Xverse does the backend stuff for the BRC20s. It was a little trickier, but we can definitely allow you to accept and request BRC20s. But we have to have a reason for you to accept and request BRC20s. There has to be something to spend or gain from using those BRC20s. There has to be a game, or there has to be gambling, or there has to be peer-to-peer wagering, or there has to be trading, or there has to be, assets for sale, or customization sets, or avatars, or something. There has to be, what the fuck are you going to buy? What are you going to sell? How are you going to make profit? Just by having the token enabled? Well, it has no use case still. So build the use cases, allow people to get comfortable and warmed up with those use cases by sharing your experiences and doing whatever the fuck. And for people who have lost interest in the customization part, or it's more overwhelming than they thought and they'd rather do easier shit, that's where the revenue generation comes in. That's where the token drops come in. Once a month, a motherfucker's got to pay attention to claim some money that they're owed. And that's also how we scale this thing, going way past, because we can generate every single block in existence. We could do 888 or we could do 800,000. It literally does not matter. It is not different for us. We have built the infrastructure to generate the thing, and your browser renders the graphics. Bing, bang, boom. Infinite scalability. So if we want to incentivize players to come in, how do the founding members get kicked back on that? And this is something that we've also worked hard on. So the payment rails have to be exact and secure, because when public can purchase, so imagine this, right now you give me a bitmap number, I whitelist it, you go check it out and you claim it. Okay, when this portion is over, which we're not far, maybe less than 80 spots or something left, when this is over, okay, there will be a few months where secondary has the founding members collection and instances and parceling and all this shit is being implemented and utilized, and these custom experiences are being shown off. But then we will open up public. So now you will come to a version of our site. You will type in any bitmap number. You will immediately be in that virtual space. Now, if you own the bitmap of the space that you're in, and it's in the wallet that you're connected to, you will be able to claim and pay for it right then and there. And 50% of that money will be team and development. The other 50% will be founding members. Dude.
Yeah.
Like, you guys have no idea how profitable you'd be if we just sold 10,000 spaces in our lifetime. You guys would be 5x without ever selling a single parcel or receiving a single airdrop or, dude, no. You guys, we've done an incredible job here, and the goal is to be able to offer more and outperform others by the 1st of January. When January comes, we want to be able to look around at the others and go, well, we warned you. That's all there is to it. Yeah. We warned you.
So do you see a future of Bitmap like integration from application to application? Because some of these applications are so different, but like, I mean, I'm trying to think of how the future of Bitmap will look in terms of integrations and stuff.
I do think that people will be able to get on the same page and, you know, borrow from other generators and algorithms to basically generate something that's similar across all metas. You know, it'll obviously be optimized differently based on how their generator generates the assets and the objects. On VR, it would be different than in Unreal Engine, but technically that's what we're doing, right? Like, we are able to generate the same bitmap data with the same look and layout and the same, you know, everything across multiple game engines. We've already tested it, because just like you're wondering, how do we develop some form of standard over time, and how can I build as many cool things as possible that your bitmap can have not only ownership over, but also be like how it's designed. So a maze game or maybe a side-scrolling, like platformer. Sorry, the word escaped me. So some sort of platforming game. Wouldn't it be cool if each level was different based on the bitmap that you selected from your wallet to generate, right? And then you could get scored based on how many bitmap levels you've generated for the game, and then others could play those bitmap levels and try to beat your score. And you could even offer incentives and stuff like that for people who are able to do that. So to me, I do start to think about how some more familiar Web 2 experiences work and what that would look like to have iterations of that in Bitmap Valley, but it just takes time. You know what I mean?
For sure.
For sure.
All right. What we got next?
Really, I want to know, because like I feel like Chris has kind of been super busy, like trying to figure out, putting together all these the instances, making sure that there's no glitches. He's been busy, and I feel like you've been a little bit in the background. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on that. But have you been paying attention to the energy and what's been kind of doing well in Ordinals and the Bitcoin ecosystem?
Yeah, definitely.
I want to know what your thoughts are on that.
Dude, it's insanely bullish. It's so bullish. Like, yeah, I'm not convinced that some of these random tokens are going to hold up anything, but the track and tap stuff's way overdue. The sats had so much invested just for minting. Dude, that's unbelievable. The Unisat deck stuff that I've seen looks super cool. Waiting for that to go live. The Binance Ordi shit, unbelievable. We hit $21 target. Who knows what's next, right? If we get lucky, maybe you get to buy it at $15. If it stays bullish, $15 is like you're praying for $15, right? Because we've seen this thing at 28, and from 15 you're buying at 12, you're buying at 8, you're buying at 4, all over again if you have to. Yeah. But I think we've learned a lesson here, right? And I'm hoping to see that kind of transfer transfer out to some other assets. But honestly, I can't think of anything in the market that's super liquid enough to actually like compete, right? And then I've seen how Bitcoin frogs have done, and gooses and a couple other things. Bitmap obviously has done incredibly well. I don't think that Bitmap is undervalued or overvalued. I think that it is exactly valued how people understand it right now, and I think people will learn to understand it better. And I think that it has a higher value proposition because it is simpler to conceive and has more universal utility concepts based on the way that it's basic composed, right? From us, it's always been about that data. You know, the data that is present based on the social consensus is a metric for us to build things around. And I think other devs are seeing that. So I'm very bullish on price action. I think if you can find bitmaps you care about at this price range, you're probably good. Do I think a bitmap can be worth $50 or $100 in the future? I don't see why it couldn't. You know what I mean? Like of course it could be.
Yeah.
And when we factored in the cost of Bitmap Valley districts for the pre-salers like yourselves, we factored in that price range, right? Whether it's $5 or $100, we need to make this barrier to entry reasonable. People have likely already bought their bitmaps if they're going to become part of the public version of the Valley in the nearer future, which is where you guys benefit from, right? But like those people, well, they're going to pay more than you paid, more than likely, because there's going to be more tools and there's going to be more stuff, and they're going to have immediate use cases and opportunities. So it's going to cost more for them to get a space, which is going to put more back to the holders and for team development, which means we can continue to build more stuff and airdrop more things to you, the founding members, not the public members. The public members, they've got a district, they've got tooling, they've got opportunity that didn't exist at the very beginning for all of you founding members. All of you founding members are the ones who get whitelisted, who the ones who get airdrops, the one who get rev share. That's you guys, right? So we had to really break this down into like, you know, we had to think, how high can a bitmap go in price? And literally $100 to me does not seem crazy.
No.
But does that mean I'm rushing out there to buy them all at $30? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if you bought some at 30 and you bought some at 15, you're only in for 2250. You know what I'm saying?
It's going to it's 1,000. Like
that's crazy, but yeah, sure. I mean,
hey,
who's to say it can't?
What's the total supply going to be next year? It's still going to be under 1 million, right? And then also, if you know, Shizzy and I have been talking to builders that are talking about tokenizing them as well. So if you take them in LP pools, if you take the bitmaps over to like and create a pool with them, they get locked up. That takes them out of circulation as well.
I agree with that.
I think one thing right now is that you have these huge whales that I think the top holder had like 30,000. And then he started to sell them off recently, obviously, whenever the price jumped up. But like after that guy, I think it goes to like 15 and 10. And then once it gets dispersed out even more, and possibly some locked up in these tokenized LP pools. And then there's 2 different project founders that have told that to us. So I think it's extremely undervalued right now, but I think from your perspective, it's like, as of right now, from a every average person mindset, yes, it's probably not overvalued or undervalued. But for me, that I feel like I you know, what I think is going to happen, I feel like it's undervalued by a lot.
So I've already entertained this idea as well for the founding members. I don't know if I've mentioned this somewhere or if you're like trying to trigger me or something, but one of the concepts that I thought of was, you know, some of the reward metrics could maybe be increased, or some of the token allocation could be set on a distribution pattern to people who are willing to lock up their bitmap district as basically liquidity to prevent them from selling one of the founding districts, but allow that wallet to still retain ownership, and you would still be able to create parcels and sell parcels, but you would just be making a commitment to lock up and not sell the district to keep that, you know, off the market, making the supply on the market thinner. You see what I'm saying? But still allowing you to have authority in that space to create the parcels and monetize it. You just 100%. Can't sell the actual district. And if you do that, then we could have a token allotment from our tap token and other stuff that, you know, maybe partners that are interested in this concept. I'm not going to go further than that, but
it sounds kind of like staking. Is that in a sense,
In a
you don't
way,
want to use the word staking, but
it's not staking because this is real estate, and you're basically like what you're not even really financing it, but that's what it's closer to.
Yeah.
Is like like financing a mortgage or refinancing a property. You know what I'm saying? You're like, but you're more than anything. You're just like taking it off the market. You're saying like, okay, I'm committed to locking this up, guaranteeing that this district will not be sold on the secondary, and that I will retain ownership of it for X amount of time. And for doing that, you're qualified for all these additional perks and benefits, but it doesn't actually lock the entire space because parcels and monetization is still available. I just know that out of the 888, or maybe there's a few extra, maybe there's a few less when this is all said and done, because there's still a few people that have to send me their info. But like, you know, you're basically committing out of, let's just call it 900 out of 900 spaces, that this one for sure will not be sold within X amount of time. And it's in my best interest and the holders around our best interest to, you know, lock that supply up and actually create a value to the district that transcends just the virtual experience. Now there's like this physical piece of real estate attached to it, which there already is, but people don't know that you won't sell that tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
knowing that you can't sell it for 6 months, but you can sell the parcels, and you're receiving a reward for that. Plus you're getting the rev share as well. So it's like, you know, but that's probably what we'll have to do for rev share, is require some form of call to action. And then after that call to action, you know, you have to claim based on the time allotment. So we could make it to where claiming every 2 weeks or every 30 days, but you're locked for 6 months or 12 months. So that's basically, you know, but freeze authority is hard to do because there are no smart contracts on Bitcoin. And we want to keep this as close to the chain as possible. So it'll likely be escrow wallet, one escrow assigned to each account per public key.
Goodness.
And then, yeah. Oh, dude, it's not easy.
Yeah, but I mean, that's
it's worth it though.
Yeah, it's only
100%.
So, this is my last question for you, because like I feel like you definitely have like,
holy shit.
What?
Hold on a second.
What's up? Did Bitcoin just jump up to $40,000?
No, but when I clicked on the Doge chart, the Doge dog came out of the side of the screen and danced on TradingView.
What the hell?
I don't believe you.
I literally clicked the Bybit chart, and the little dog came to the right and danced.
What, did you eat a chocolate bar before the show that had some mushrooms in it?
No, but the time that it was on Twitter, it confused the hell out of me too. Dude, was crazy.
That's funny.
I don't know how to make it do it again. Anyway.
No, so like I was saying, that you're obviously you're a really smart dude, and I feel like, you know, you have deep thought in these new protocols. Have you taken a look at like the UTXO stuff that's coming out, like, you know, pipe and then runes and all that stuff?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
That I'm waiting for me. Okay, so Benny had some stuff going on, and now obviously I've been busy as hell the last like week or so, and we're just so focused on instances. But me and Benny have to have a call so I can form better opinions. But I'm very bullish. So like obviously I'm already interested in a fan of the way that the tap you know, protocol does things, but pipe actually is pipe's pretty smart. And the problem is that you're in this echo chamber right now where you've got like some people who are friends with Casey only know about runes and Brc20. They have no idea that there's this dev out there, Benny, who's able to do all this crazy cool shit. So really what I would like to do is try to get someone over at Xverse or one of these major wallets to actually integrate tap protocol so that we can show, because it is different enough to stand on its own 2 feet.
I agree.
Then as they accept tap protocol, we can say, well, look how well pipe performs.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, but what's the thing that actually stands? So me and Benny have to have a call about what, like literally soon, because I also have a tap token, right? I want to take full advantage of the protocol's use cases to provide the best value for you, the holders, who will be getting it for free, by the way. There will be no mint. Only you with ordinals basically anyone with pre-sale spots, founding districts, or ordinals through us will end up getting our Evolve supply pretty much fully. I don't think any of it will go for sale or mint. It'll be in a way where, like, basically the only people who get it basically got it for no charge because they're involved in other things. Like, the whole supply is essentially for you guys. Like, half of it would be for like rewards and distribution inside the ecosystem, and the other half is basically for the current holders to get evenly distributed across literally all the ordinals and all the founding spaces. That's essentially the plan.
Gotcha. I guess my question was more like, so these UTXO model fungible tokens that they're talking about, they're based, the way that they would function is exactly like how Bitcoin functions, right? So you kind of skip that transfer process. I
love that. I absolutely think it's brilliant. We just have to see how people accept it, guys. Of course, I think they're superior. Yeah, of course, I think that it's superior.
But it's about market adoption, right? And everybody is like all up on BRC20s now.
It's about social consensus and ease of use.
Yeah, for sure.
So we need wallets to accept it, which is why my strategy is to try and get Jan here soon to look at Tap Protocol which is why I need to have the call with Benny to understand this.
It's Jan, by the way. Jan. No, I'm just kidding. I know. Shizzy called him Jan the first time he was on Spaces.
So my thought is, if I can get the key talking points that Benny wants expressed to a larger audience, or some of these people that are harder for him to, because he's busy, right? So I want to help Benny get in the ear of some of these people, but I need to understand what he thinks the strengths of the protocol are for these entities to be interested, and let me push that narrative to them so that they can understand the potential, and then adopting Tap Protocol and seeing how thick it can actually be, how cool it actually is. That's the way that we get them to be interested in the other things that he's built. This is also how you get more adoption for Track and Tap Token, the new Tap, the one that he's making, and then that also, obviously that includes Pipe, right? Which is a very much, I think, cleaner version of runes. I think it's better. And this is not against Casey. Casey's like throwing barely anything at this, right? His effort is minimal, and it's only when he becomes annoyed or obsessed that he does something insane, right? Like, because he's like
that's probably the truest statement about him.
He's a mad genius is what he is, where Benny is an obsessed technologist. He's an OCD coder who's plagued with ideas that he must turn into reality. And he is so intelligent and he is so capable that he's able to look and say, I understand now what you're saying. Do you know that this would be better? And, he reminds me a lot of Saeed when it comes to developing some stuff for chain, like on chain or in the games, where the moment you show them something that works or is a good idea, they immediately go, oh yeah, that is cool. Actually, if they just rearranged the code and they actually called functions like this, you'd actually be able to do it a little cleaner and better, and this would actually be more efficient like this. And then they try to give it to him, and the guy doesn't want to listen, so then Benny has to make Pipe. It's like, come on, dude. He would just fix all your problems for you if you would just let him. The dude's a fucking genius. So it's like, okay, we got to get Tap out there. We got to get that protocol being used. And then that has to open up doors for more adoption of the Track ecosystem.
All we need is a marketplace. Like, it's all we need is a marketplace. If we had a marketplace, I'd be trading this shit every day.
Nope. You also need a wallet that supports it, because if you're going to have, you need to be able to see the asset in your wallet. You cannot go to a website to verify an asset. That's bullshit.
Well, then all we need is a wallet. I'm just kidding.
No, that's true, but you can't have a wallet that has no users.
That's true. Well, ORC Cast, I don't know if GhostAt has users or not, but they made one.
Yeah, but you need adoption. You need integration. You need someone like Jan to see how good it is and say, you know what, maybe it is worth us hitting the indexer and supporting. Dude, it's so easy. Benny has done all the work for them. They literally have to say, Okay, and that's part of the conversation I want to have with him. Hey, what all do you have prepped if somebody wanted to adopt it in their wallet? What's the end point? What's the index? Or how, you know what I mean? So that I've got all the links and all the information I need, and then I can say, okay, Jan or Hero or somebody else, can you integrate this? Can you call to this API and create and just read these tokens and display them in the, because like think about Xverse Wallet. If you open Xverse Wallet right now, they now have new sections. Whenever you go to collections, they now have like inscriptions, NFTs, and
Rare
something
stats,
else.
rare
Yeah.
Yeah,
stats.
and rare sets. So it would not be crazy to do one more that says tap, dude. Like,
Yeah, I agree. Well, he's getting funding now because he has that partnership. Is that something that you've considered doing?
what?
Like doing some funding rounds and getting a
If
partnership like
it's
that?
if it's needed, but I think right now it's not necessarily needed. And also then we'd have to give up equity and
Yeah.
reassess the way we want to do. I mean, sure, if that's what's necessary in the future to keep things moving and keep your bags safe, I would consider it. But in the short term, for all I know, public is going to be popular as we produce value and entertainment, and all of us come together and share these experiences as the ecosystem grows and more users are listening to our spaces and coming to YouTube and hearing my TA. We should be able to grow it pretty well, and we should be fine on development funds, and all of you should break even on your investments, hopefully fast. I mean, my goal is ASAP. And then once I know that the average user has at least benefited the equivalent value or more than what they put in, I'll stop worrying about you guys and we can really push a narrative. But my first goal is like protect the holders, protect the users, um, make it good enough to expand, and then expand with the intention of you being in for free, because like I cannot promise you profits under any circumstances,
Yeah.
but I can take everything that's been paid for and built, and if anything, repurpose and sell it off at the same exact cost and put the money that you put into it right back in your pocket. And if I can at least get you at $0, then I have done my job. Everything
Oh
else
yeah.
is a bonus, right? Think about the rugs you've been invested in the past, how much money we've all lost on random shit. Um, but I'm excited. We've got some plans for Onwa too. Don't forget about that. I'm going to take them back. And when I take them back, you're going to have an offer for taking them back. I'm not going to say more than that, but I want to get those 2,000 tokens back. So we're going to figure out how I can get them back.
Gotcha. He wants them all back.
Well, I think it'd be fun to allow. I'm not going to get into it. There's already been too much. I just think there's a really cool way that we could use those 2,000 tokens to do something sick and put the value back into them. Because remember, each token was $5, right? So if
Yeah.
each token was $5, and we can create a use case for all 2,000 tokens, every token you utilize in the way that I am not describing right now, would only be $5 each.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, all right, man. I'm gonna spin this wheel. I'm giving away a bitmap. It's just a bitmap. There's no Bitmap Valley on it. It's just a bitmap. I want to get that clear. So let's give it away right now to the 6 people that gave their Twitter. And let's
Man,
see
you
who
6
wins
people
it.
are great. Let's see who wins it.
Who got it? Chief.
All right, give him a bitmap, and Chief Axel, you can DM me on Twitter and I'll activate it for you in Bitmap Valley. Fuck it.
Oh, nice,
you sure,
man.
I that's a big thing, man.
Yeah, it's cool for someone to be here, you know, for them to even be here. It's great.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate
All right.
that, man.
So you heard him. DM me to get your bitmap, and then get DM Chris to get that on Bitmap Valley. Boom.
Yeah, and really,
Congrats.
you could lie to me. You could just choose any bitmap, and it wouldn't matter, because I'll never know. I'll never know which one Shizzy gave you.
All right, Chris, man, it's absolutely amazing, man. The TA was awesome. The Bitmap Valley update was awesome, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate being here.
Yeah, I guess since you guys have twisted my arm, we're also gonna do a leaderboard mode that's a little different in the endless runner, and we'd like to integrate things like this into Bitmap Valley. So we're going to use the runner as a test bed. Basically, each entry is going to cost a certain amount of bonk, and 95% of that bonk gets pooled into a giant pot, and every time you run you get one leaderboard score, but if you beat your old score you get a new leaderboard score, but you have to pay each time to try and do it, which builds up the pot, and then at the end of the time period all of that bonk will get distributed to like a handful of people, and you'll make a bag for just playing our endless runner. You know what I mean? Which you can also earn free bonk in. So you could actually run enough matches to get enough bonk to in practice, and then use that bonk to play the leaderboard, and then the leaderboard just builds and builds and builds. And we're probably going to make it pretty cheap because we want it to be pretty cheap. We want people, because it's an endless runner. Sometimes you're going to do better than others. So the idea is like maybe it's like 10 cents or 25 cents worth of bonk, because in Solana you can do things like that. You can set the price of something at 25 cents and it's actually, you don't lose money. So I'm thinking like 25 cents worth of bonk per try, but you have thousands and thousands of tries. So you have thousands of dollars to give to like the top couple people that are on that leaderboard. And anyone who lost maybe lost like $12 or something, you know what I'm saying? Like, and they played hundreds of times, or 100 times or something. So that's the way we're thinking about it, doing some shit like that.
Yeah, man. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys watching, listening, and everything else, man. Just gonna get out of here. We got spaces in about 8 hours, so I'm gonna try to get some sleep.
Oh, fuck, I forgot about that. Yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys there as well. If I'm up early, I'll hop in there.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Eating bacon in the shower. Just the way we like you, buddy.
All right. Take it easy, fellas.
You too, man.
Peace.